Wofford 49-10, and it was a great game offensively. I'd say the biggest thing that happened was the energy from injury, I should say, from Mike Williams. So Artavis Scott really, Mike Williams is out for the remainder of the season, or it's unknown at this point. So what do you guys think? Can Artavis Scott carry the load for the team, and how big is this Mike Williams injury going to affect offense?
Mike Williams is he was our best receiver. I mean, we still have people like Artavis Scott to step in, but Mike Williams' injury, it hurts Clemson a lot, actually.
Yeah, no joke. When you have a guy that is supposed to be one of the leaders this year, come down with a huge injury like this. I mean, very scary injury as well.
Yeah.
It's really big. It really kind of disrupts just the energy that we had going into the season. Not only for player-wise, but we had 5 of the 7 games already sold out in Clemson. We only have 2 games and the 2 games Boston College Wake Forest are almost sold out. But there's this huge hype around Clemson football this year, and having one of our main guys go down, that was kind of sad. But next man up. We still got Kane, we got Scott, who's going to be unreal for us. I mean, our outlook, I don't think, gets any worse. I mean, Mike Williams was a huge asset to this team, but he doesn't. His absence isn't going to hurt us as much as some people think, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I agree with you. I feel like Mike Williams, as great of a player he is, he doesn't define our offense. I feel like we've got so many weapons, and just the versatility of Deshaun Watson and just the young guys we have as well. This weekend, we're home again, taking on App State. They're 1-0. They beat Howard 49-0 last week. Not sure how much that means, but nevertheless, it seems like their defense has something. They're doing something right for sure. What are you guys looking for this weekend from the Tigers? What can we improve on from last week against Wofford? And what's your prediction this week?
I think the offense is probably gonna score a lot of points just like it did last week.
Yeah.
But I'm looking for the special teams to step up. I mean, we can't have people diving at the ball that's in front of them for a punt and then muffing it and then giving it back to Wofford, which was, I think, their only touchdown of the game. So, yeah, we just can't have that happen with special teams.
Yeah, definitely I agree there. I mean, it's kind of. I don't know. I don't really look too much into games like Wofford and stuff like that because it's Wofford. We opened for Wofford, for a reason. Anything that I would look to improve, like you said, special teams a little bit. Offense, I mean, you really can't complain. We had 311 passing yards, 222 total rushing yards. So I mean, there's not much we really can ask for. We scored 49 points. App State, like Horst just mentioned, beat Howard 49-0. Raise your hand if you've ever heard of Howard. Anybody? No? Neither have I. Just some things that Clemson should kind of look at, and I mean, you can't take any college team lightly. Exactly. You gotta come in. You gotta be ready to play. I mean, Taylor Lamb, App State's quarterback, went 16 for 21, had 3 touchdowns, had a QBR of 95.8, and to put that in kind of perspective, Deshaun Watson had a QBR of 97. So, App State is no joke. I mean, granted, they're not going to be in the AP top 25 for maybe next 10 years. But I mean, they beat Michigan when Michigan was pretty good a couple years ago. So I mean, hopefully we don't become Michigan here. So Clemson can't take them lightly. We got to come out to play, and that's what we did against Wofford. And I look for us to do that against App State as well.
Yeah.
Totally agree, guys. So the week that just passed, usually week 1 is notorious, just for powder puff games, big schools playing small teams, kind of like Clemson and Wofford. But there actually were some great matchups this week. Including, Auburn playing Louisville, and then Ohio State playing VT. What were y'all's favorite matchups? What was the best game in your opinion this week? And what was the most talent you saw out of some of the smaller teams or some of the big teams struggling with teams that are unranked?
Well, I'll say my favorite matchup that I enjoyed this week was Virginia Tech, Ohio State. I mean, there's a lot of hype going into the game because Virginia Tech knocked off Ohio State last year. We Ohio State fans were not exactly sure if their team was even going to make it to the playoffs after we lost to Virginia Tech. And I mean, you guys know how the story went. But another thing that I really loved about that game was, first of all, Braxton Miller making a return. That's huge. A Heisman candidate going down last year. Extremely sad to see. But him coming back and having a huge impact on the game. Cardell Jones and JT Barrett having, JT Barrett, only got to throw 1 pass attempt and everything. Only got in there for a little bit. But still, Ohio State's team is loaded. They beat Virginia Tech, who some people, including Mark May, but who doesn't, Mark May always thinks Ohio State's going to lose. But a lot of people thought Virginia Tech was going to knock off Ohio State again, but Ohio State proved them different, proved those guys wrong, and Ohio State's going to be a really good team, and I don't
Do you
expect
see
them
them in the playoffs?
Definitely. I think they will go to the playoffs, and I think they will repeat. I mean, to be honest, that team is loaded. What they did to Virginia Tech was crazy. Open the season with all the hype and everything, but they did that without 4 of their best players, including one Joey Bosa,
I forgot about Joey Bosa.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people watching the game were just like, all right, didn't even think about Joey Bosa, but what we did. What Ohio State did last week or this Monday was just huge, and they didn't do it with Joey Bosa. So Ohio State was definitely my favorite game.
Yeah, well, I had 2 games that kind of stood out to me. I had first Auburn and Louisville. Auburn was up big on Louisville, and then their defense kind of collapsed at the end. Louisville kept rushing in touchdowns, and then I thought Louisville was going to win. Auburn eventually held on. That was a pretty interesting game.
Very great game, yeah.
And then another game was BYU and Nebraska. I don't know how many of you saw that, but Nebraska was up by 4 or 5 points, 1 second left.
Yep.
Classic Hail Mary play.
Got it.
In the end zone. I was like, did I just see that?
BYU, yeah. Crazy.
So Matthew, since you're talking about TCU playing Nebraska, last week I know you talked about you had TCU in your Final Four for your playoffs. Do you still think they're in the playoffs? Do you think they're making the cut, or did you see some weaknesses from them?
It was actually BYU and Nebraska, but I still see TCU. I remember they were number 3 before. Or they were number 2 and they moved down.
They're number 3 now.
Yeah, they're number 3 now. I still think they're in the playoff contention. Yes.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So take me through some of this week's big NCAA games. I'm sure College Game Day with Oregon. There's some great games this week. What do you guys think?
I'll start.
Well, Michigan State, Oregon, that's going to be a great game. It's 2 of the top 25 in the AP going at it. In Michigan, it's going to be a great game, great atmosphere and everything like that. This is going to be one of the first chances. Well, I mean, this is going to be the first time Oregon and Michigan State have the chance to play real competition this year. So that's going to be big time. Obviously, that's everybody's. That's
probably the biggest game of the week. Yeah,
definitely the biggest game of the week. There. So I mean, that's the one game I'm looking forward to. I'm sure you two are looking forward to that as well. But definitely Oregon, Michigan State, and I think Michigan State will get Oregon.
Yeah, well, I'm looking forward to that game as well, and I'm also looking forward to LSU and Mississippi State. LSU didn't have a chance to play last week because they got rained out, so this is basically like their opener. They're ready to come out, show what they got, show that like a few years ago they were one of the top teams.
Yeah, definitely.
And now they want to prove, they still think they're this team against Mississippi State, who was. They were pretty good last year. I remember they were top 10 last year.
Yeah, I mean that whole SEC.
Yeah, the whole SEC West.
I mean, out of the top 25, I mean the SEC has 10 of the top 25 in this week's poll.
Crazy.
So that's crazy. SEC, I mean, it's always going to be good at football and everything. And Horace, you and I were talking before the show here. There's rumors that Clemson might join the SEC here. And
what do you? Like, I've got an opinion on that. Personally, like, I love the ACC. We were talking about it before the show, and we'll get into it right now. Actually, I love Clemson in the ACC just because I don't know. I feel like there's some pride in the ACC, with basketball and academics. But like, personally, I would almost love to see Clemson go to the SEC for this reason. Just imagine every week teams like LSU, Bama, Georgia coming to town and playing games where we would normally play Boston College. That's a very touchy subject about Clemson leaving the ACC. But what would you guys think? Would you love to see that in the next couple of years, or do you want them to stay put where they are?
I mean, I definitely want them to stay in the ACC, but I want their schedule to get tougher. Just like you said, if you substitute a Bama instead of Boston College, that's big time. That's huge. If you swap, instead of going to NC State this year, we go to Florida and we go to the Swamp. That's where the good teams are separated from, or the great teams are separated from the good teams. And I honestly think this Clemson team is a great team, but their strength and schedule kind of worries me. I do think that if they go undefeated, we have a very good shot of going to making the playoffs. But I mean, like you said, put Bama in there, put Florida in there, and we get 2 of those wins. And that's playoffs for sure.
Yeah. Like I would entertain the fact of them going to the SEC. I don't know how realistic it would be because of money issues and stuff. But like you said, like seeing a high-end team coming in instead of Boston College or Wofford. Yeah, Wofford. That would get the atmosphere
I would get hyped up.
Definitely. I mean, our last game is our last home game at least is Wake Forest this year.
Yeah.
And that could have some playoff implications on the line and everything,
Right.
and it might be a big game. But I mean, you put Bama's name there, or LSU's name. I mean, even Texas A&M if you want to. Stanford. I mean, you just put another an AP top 25 big name there.
Yeah.
One, that game's already going to be sold out, and two, that game will have even more playoff implications than Clemson hopefully beating Wake Forest will.
Yeah,
So.
and then there's also the fact that a lot of the casual fan a few years ago they would think USC South Carolina was better than Clemson because they were around the same record, but USC or South Carolina played better teams throughout the year, and they called ACC the cupcake conference. That's what one of my friends called it. So I mean, to the casual fan, if they were in the SEC, Clemson would get more respect, I feel.
Right. I mean, I don't disagree with you there. I mean, I agree with you 100% there. I mean, FSU and Clemson, as I'm looking at, and Georgia Tech, as I'm looking on this list, are the only three teams that are in the ACC and
in the 25.
Yeah, in the top 25,
Yeah.
whereas the SEC has 10.
Yeah.
So you put us in the SEC, even if we play the lesser SEC teams, I still think it holds a little more weight than the ACC does. But Horace, like you said, I mean, the prestige that comes with the ACC, the academics that are associated with the ACC, and especially the SEC, how academics are completely, I mean, it's a joke that people make. I mean, it's big time. I love the ACC. I really love staying here and everything, but I do wish our strength of schedule for football, at least.
I want to go back to actually, Anderson, what you said. You made a comment. You said, I think Clemson's a great team. One thing I heard Dabo Swinney say 2 years ago when we went to the Orange Bowl, he told the team in the locker room, he said, we're at the doorway of greatness. We just need to step in. And I feel like that was a perfect quote for Clemson just in the latest kind of 5 years, 4 to 5 years. I feel like Clemson's been at, I still, personally, I'm not sure if they're great yet. They're at the door. They're national contenders. The whole program has changed in the last around 6 years. Expectations have been boosted up. Do you guys think Clemson, this is the year where they enter the door and they go to the playoffs? Are they a great team this year? Or are they still a good, nationally competitive team? What do you guys think?
I think Clemson is a great team. They're not the top. They're not going to be a top 4 team when it's all said and done. Unfortunately, I do think we'll be in the top 10, maybe even top 8. We'll go to a good bowl. I mean, who's
the loss coming from? Do you think?
I think Florida State. I think we'll knock Notre Dame off, and we'll be pretty big on ourselves and everything. But Florida State's towards the end of the year and everything, and I mean they're here. They're here this year and everything, but. I don't know. I just don't see us going undefeated. I do think we're going to lose. I hope it's not to Notre Dame, just for because Notre Dame's a really good team, and if we can beat Notre Dame, I think we can beat anybody. But just for argument's sake here, I'm going to guess Florida State. But what you said when you said when you said that quote, I mean that hit the nail right on the head. We sold. I mean, like I said earlier in the show, 5 out of 7 home games are sold out this year. That's the first time we think in the last 50 years or something like that more than that could be ever. I'm not 100% sure, but I know it's been a very long time since we sold out 5 out of 7. Very good chance of selling out all 7. So our fan base recognizes how good our teams become and how great our program is becoming. Our players are buying into the program. Dabo is, he's unreal. He's a great guy, great coach. I mean, you're right there. We just need to enter now. The door's open. We just need to take a step in.
Yeah, I think I kind of agree with you. I think we're a really good team. We're better than what we were before the last couple of years, but there's this little bit that we're not there yet.
Right, I agree.
Like Mike Williams, in my opinion, I think that we could have maybe entered it, but Mike Williams, that injury kind of takes it away.
Definitely. So. I mean, we have all the makeups of a playoff team. We have the Heisman candidate. We have an unreal receiving staff. We have great running backs. Our defense is young. I mean, I'm telling you, I was talking to some of my friends last week and everything. If you put last year's defense with this year's offense,
that would be
with Mike Williams
insane,
being in, that's top 14 for sure.
It's bringing back Vic Beasley, Grady Jarrett.
I mean,
it's insane.
You go down that defense, and I mean, it's stacked.
Yeah. And just speaking of those great name players, a huge change happened in college football this week. The NCAA announced that the top 5 power conferences are going to now be able to pay players a little bit. They're going to not be able to, of course, just pay them per game or per hour or anything like that, but they are allowed to give them up to $5,000 for other expenses, is what the NCAA defined it as. The article I read even said that this money they're free to use it wherever. They can go to the movies, they can use it on food. So this is definitely, if you agree with the whole paying players thing, definitely a step in the right direction. What's y'all's take on that?
I think overall that would probably be a pretty good idea, because if you're playing in college athletics, obviously there's liability, as you saw with Mike Williams, as you see with players every week about getting injured. I'm kind of on the fence about it too, because paying players is just, I don't know, college doesn't really do it. So I don't know, what was I thinking?
Well, I mean, to kind of continue there, I saw this a couple stats here. I think is this weekend I was reading 1.6% of college players will make it in the NFL, and I mean that's just completely mind-boggling, because I mean you'll see all we really notice is fans and. We just notice the top players and everything. We don't notice, the guys that are just riding the bench, barely getting some minutes and everything like that. And I do think that they deserve to get paid. Simply because this is a full-time job for them. This is, one, what they came to do. Cardell Jones tweeted last year, he didn't come here to play school and everything. He got a lot of crap for that.
That's right.
But I mean, I honestly do. I feel like he's 100% right. He's not here for an academic degree. He's here to try to go to the pros, and he's here to try to become a great football player. Not here as in Clemson, but here in college to become a great football player, and that's what he's doing. So he deserves to get paid for that. When you put in the hours that they put in, when you do the things that they do, I mean, the way they sleep, the way they eat, the way they conduct themselves, that is a full-time job and then some, and they deserve to be paid for that.
Yeah, I didn't know.
Who do you pay though? Do you pay the third-string kicker? Do you pay just the starting quarterback, wide receivers, and a few other players? Like, how do you? That's the big kind of question. Is like, how do you decide who gets paid and how much they get paid?
See, well, I mean, that's a fine line right there. They all put in the same hours. They all do the same amount of work and everything. But then you look at the NFL and you look at professional sports. Does everybody get paid the same there? No. I mean, they all put in the same amount of work. They all go to practice. They all report to training camp. I mean, so I honestly do feel like you conduct it on like a professional basis. Using Clemson as an example, Deshaun Watson is going to be your highest paid player. He brings the university the most money with jersey sales, with promotional campaigns, with just hype around the university. Artavis Scott would be up there. Curse would be up there. Mike Williams will be up there. And then you look at guys like Nick Schuessler and stuff like that. I mean, those guys will still get paid and everything. Everybody on the roster will get paid. It just depends on how much, depending on how I would say you look at jersey sales, you look at publicity and all that stuff, and I think that's how you determine.
Yeah, like Horace said, it was between maybe $2,000 to $5,000. So maybe like Deshaun Watson and them get up like $5,000, and then the other players get lower, around $2,000, $2,500.
Yeah, I mean, it's all. I honestly think it's player ability.
It's a dangerous game though, because
extremely.
It's extremely dangerous because I feel like that definitely causes feuds between the players. There's already competition for positions, and now it's competition between. Like, we're both on the field together, but this dude's making $1,000 more than me. Or I'm the starting quarterback for Clemson, and this guy who rides the bench is making $2,000. Why am I only making $3,000 more than him? It just brings up these whole nother debates, if you guys know what I mean. But we're going to change gears a little bit, out of college into the NFL. So, in the league, one of the biggest things, I know you guys are tired of hearing it, but the Brady suspension, that's done. So no Brady suspension, I should say. He's playing tomorrow night. What do you guys think? What's your final take? Like, we're all done hearing it. What's your final say about that whole situation?
I was a little shocked that he wasn't suspended at least 1 or 2 games, but I guess that's what you should expect from Roger Goodell. You should expect the players. He hand out a punishment, big punishment, and then it get whittled down little by little until it's, in Tom Brady's case, no games. So it was, I guess I kind of expected it.
I mean, I can't. I didn't think I expected the fact that he's just going to get off. I thought the whole situation in general was just extremely minor. I mean, it's deflated balls. I mean, Aaron Rodgers came out right when the situation, came to light. Aaron Rodgers said, he likes it, the pressure in his football is a little different than other quarterbacks.
Yeah, that's right. He wanted
and that's okay. I don't think. I mean, that should be huge. Publicity and everything like that. And I said the term publicity there, and I'm going to stick with that term. And that's all this was a huge publicity stunt. Oh, yeah. The NFL is in the entertainment business, and that's exactly what they just gave us for
for an off season,
over 6 months. Seahawks. Off-season in the NFL is not like the off-season in the NBA. It's not like the off-season and even in the MLB. Nothing really happens in the NFL. You don't see a lot of big-name players moving. I mean, we did this year. Granted, we did this year, but they used this to their advantage. Tom Brady, New England Patriots being in a huge public eye, being in New England, being in those huge that huge football area and everything. They used that to their advantage, and they really capitalized, and that's all that really was a huge publicity stunt. And honestly, the NFL, I would give them an A for entertainment. But I mean, other than that, I just think it's a huge joke. And,
Hey, speaking of entertainment, though, our boy Tim Tebow, he might be out of the league, but he's not out of entertainment. If we're making that parallel between the league and entertainment, Tebow's back with the SEC Network. He's off the roster, but he's back in front of the cameras. Are you guys happy for him? Or are you kind of bummed? What's your take on that?
I'm kind of bummed a little bit. I honestly thought Tebow had a shot with the Eagles, not to be starter, obviously, but if there's one coach that would have taken a chance on him to run some kind of fancy offense, it would be Chip Kelly with the Eagles. I thought he was going to find some way to use Tim Tebow. So I was kind of surprised he was cut.
Yeah, I mean, I thought Tim Tebow was going to make it. To be honest, I'm not really shocked that he got cut. Tebow's NFL playing career, I think, is all but done here.
Don't count him out.
I mean, don't count him out. I know, but I just don't think he's got anything left. He did a heck of a job on College Game Day last year. He's a great guy, great public speaker. He really knows a lot about the game, very passionate about the game. So I think, honestly, College Game Day is where he belongs. And it's that's another publicity stunt right there with all Tim Tebow thing. I've never seen anybody who was going to be a backup quarterback and just got cut get more publicity than Tim Tebow. I mean,
yeah, you're right about that one, yeah.
So I mean, I don't really feel bad for the guy, because he's still going to make more money than I'll ever dream of making. But yeah, it's Tebow. What can you say?
Yeah.
Hey, what about the whole situation with Kam Chancellor? He's still holding out, doesn't think he's getting paid enough. I kind of see where he's coming from. He is kind of I guess, underpaid or I feel like he's overvaluing himself a little bit, maybe a little bit too cocky. And at some point, something's going to have to give in the next, I'd say, week or so with Kam Chancellor. So what do you guys think? You think it's a smart decision by him? Do you think he's just being really cocky? What's your take?
How much? I don't know. This is just me. Once again, not only dreaming of making as much money as Kam Chancellor doesn't want to make. I guess. How much money is enough to people? You see, LeBron has multi-million-dollar endorsements, on top of his salaries, and it's just ridiculous. If I make $1 million in my life, that'd be awesome. I mean, Kam Chancellor's holding out, and he wants to get paid his fair share relative to everybody else. But this whole money issue and everything you see in the NBA, people go to teams where they get the most money. I mean, you're already making $10 million a year. Well, I mean, why do you need more? Go to the team that you want to play for. I mean, Seahawks are a Super Bowl caliber team. I just think this is a very immature move for Kam Chancellor. If he really cares about the game and he cares about winning, then he would have signed. I mean. Well, first of all, the Seahawks were going to pay him more than what he made the last couple of years, but it's all about him wanting even more than what the Seahawks were going to offer.
It hurts his career too. It takes.
It definitely does.
Oh,
yeah. I mean, that's
exactly.
I mean, an NFL player's got a solid 10 years, especially in a huge, volatile position like Kam Chancellor plays in at safety. You only have a quality 10 years, at most, I think, 10 years
that's
in the NFL, and he's wasting a whole year here with this miniature lockout situation.
Yeah, well, I can see where you're coming from about the money, but I can also see where he's coming from a little bit. They just paid Russell Wilson $100 million something for 5 years. So they already paid
$100 million?
Yeah, for Russell Wilson. That happened a few months ago. And then so he kind of wants to be paid like Russell Wilson's one of their best players. Kam Chancellor's one of their best players. I can see where he wants to be not equivalent to Russell Wilson because quarterbacks will always get more, but
I was going to say
in the same ballpark for a safety.
That's it. I mean, I just heard. Kam Chancellor is going to meet the Seahawks reportedly halfway there. So I mean, that's good news for the Seahawks and that's good news for Kam Chancellor in the NFL in general. But like you said, Russell Wilson, just got a huge payday. But I was watching ESPN the other day, and they asked the question, who is the most game changer? Who's the biggest game changer in all professional sports? Is between point guard in the NBA or LeBron, a quarterback, a catcher in baseball, and a hockey goalie. And the winner is hockey goalie, but I mean, it's hockey. Who cares? Honestly, the quarterback in football, I mean, you conduct the game. Like,
yeah.
Tom Brady deserves to be paid, so much money. Aaron Rodgers, Andrew Luck, Cam Newton, even.
Peyton Manning.
Peyton Manning. How can I forget him?
Matt Ryan.
Matt Ryan. Hey,
Yeah, even Matt Ryan.
Hey, I'll get to Matt Ryan later in the show, but yes, Matt Ryan too. Quarterbacks are one. They'll have the longest years and everything, but they conduct the game. They make the franchise. The franchise, all the good franchises are built around great quarterbacks. You look at New England, for example, Seattle, Indianapolis, Green Bay with Brett Favre, Aaron Rodgers, New England, Tom Brady, Indianapolis with Peyton, now Andrew Luck.
Yeah.
Those are the great franchises, and they have the great quarterbacks. You look at the crappy
The Jaguars.
the
Raiders.
Jaguars. Don't say the Browns, but the Browns. They don't have quarterbacks.
Texans, yeah.
I mean, you said the Ravens, and the Ravens.
Oh, no, I said Raiders.
Oh, the Raiders.
No,
okay, I was gonna say the Ravens.
No, Ravens. Joe Flacco's pretty good.
Flacco's not bad.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, exactly. Raiders, Jaguars. Dolphins. I don't know. I mean, Dolphins could break the seal. They have a pretty good team here. But I mean, Tannehill.
He's kind of in the middle. Like,
Kind of
he's
in the
not
middle,
good. He's not bad.
Exactly.
And he's just there.
All good teams start with a good quarterback, and Russell Wilson deserves to get paid the most. And Kam Chancellor, for thinking that he needs to get paid, even close to that kind of a margin. Obviously, I don't know how much he wants to get paid, but I just think that's a little immature, and I think he needs to get back in line of where he deserves to be. So.
Definitely, guys. This preseason, we just wrapped up the preseason. I'd say one of the biggest kind of things that happen is just the amount of injuries. It's honestly terrible to see, but there's so many of them. Fred Jackson, just giving me a recap. Give everybody a recap of the biggest injuries or people who have been injured, and who's the biggest guy you think that kind of took the biggest blow in the preseason.
Okay, there was Kelvin Benjamin ACL,
big time.
Jordy Nelson ACL, Delmas on the Dolphins. I think that was an ACL too.
You can just go
There
on
was
and on.
two Steelers kickers.
Julius Thomas
finger. You're right. Arian Foster with his groin. Geno Smith getting punched in the face.
Geno Smith.
That one was pretty funny. I mean, there's been a ton of injuries, and I think the most impactful one, or the most devastating one, is the Kelvin Benjamin one for the Panthers. I think they're already thin on the receivers. He was the obviously number one option. He did pretty well last year, about 1,000 yards, 10 touchdowns. I think 9 or 10 touchdowns. Losing him, now they have Corey Brown and some other receivers. I don't know. They're going to have to step up in order to fill his void.
Definitely. This show's all about debate and everything, and I really wish I could argue here, but I agree 100% with you. People will think, Jordy Nelson, oh my God, that's going to be a huge loss. Julius Thomas is going to be a huge loss. Great players, don't get me wrong. But, I mean, you look at Green Bay especially. They still have Aaron Rodgers.
They still have the best quarterback.
They still have, a tremendous receiving core. They still have a great all-around team. The Panthers, however, I mean, they're one of those teams that's on the fence. They're not in the best division, so their playoff odds are still pretty high.
Yeah.
But you put Kelvin Benjamin on that team, who had a great rookie campaign. I was expecting him to have an even better sophomore campaign. I didn't think sophomore something was going to affect him at all. That hurts that team way more than I think any of the other injuries hurt another team. So definitely, I mean, you got to have next man up there. You got Philly Brown, you got Funches, you got to step up.
Yeah.
The defense has to step up. Everybody on the Panthers needs to step up to pick up the slack of Kelvin Benjamin unfortunately getting hurt.
Yeah. Zach Thompson.
Definitely. Kelvin Benjamin was big time. I mean, Green Bay fans will argue, well, Jordy Nelson is one of the best receivers in the game. Yeah, he is. But you have the best quarterback in the game.
Yeah, you have the best quarterback.
If Aaron Rodgers can't, exactly. If Aaron Rodgers can't adjust, he's not the best quarterback in the game, and that's just not gonna happen. I mean, you got Randall Cobb and all that stuff. So I mean,
like Tom Brady does more with less than any other quarterback.
Yeah,
he
definitely.
has Julian Edelman and Brandon LaFell last year.
He makes players.
He has Gronk, but he also has them. So
Guys, I want you to give me 4 names, okay? Give me the most valuable player in the whole league, in the NFL, on offense. Give me the MVP on defense. Who's your breakout player, and who's your Super Bowl? Who do you think is taking the Super Bowl? So let me recap that one more time. Who's the best offensive player in the league right now? Best defensive player in the league right now? Who's the breakout guy who's going to set his name above in the pack? Who people aren't really, looking out for this season? And who's the Super Bowl champion this year?
I'll start with Defensive Player of the Year. Shocking, J.J. Watt.
Yeah.
He had 20.5 sacks last year. It's just he had 10.5 the year before. He had one interception last year. 78 tackles last year. 80 tackles the year before. J.J. Watt can do it all. I think he had 6 offensive touchdowns. Might as well give him the freaking offensive MVP as well. But J.J. Watt definitely, I think, is going to be the defensive MVP in the whole entire league. I'm not separating AFC or NFC. I'm just going to do all NFL here. MVP, I'm going to go with Andrew Luck here. I was debating between Aaron Rodgers and Andrew Luck, but I think Andrew Luck is just going to have a great year. He's got a little problem with interceptions, but when you throw it that much, interceptions are going to be are going to happen. He had 40 touchdowns, led the league in touchdowns last year. I'm looking for Andrew Luck to have an even better year this year and extremely more importantly, more efficient. Let's see. My breakout player of the year is Julio Jones. Now I know Julio Jones is about a household name and everything, and people will say that this doesn't count or anything. But Julio Jones, if you hear me out here, he plays for a really crappy team, in the Atlanta Falcons. They just got they just got a new offensive coordinator. So the Falcons are not a lot of people are high on the Falcons, but I am. They got a new offensive coordinator, and I think Julio Jones is going to be the best receiver. And you can quote me on this. I think he's going to be the best receiver in the whole entire NFL this year. It's a lot of there's some big words, but that's my bold prediction for this year. Julio Jones hasn't had 10 touchdowns in a season since 2012, so I'm looking for him to have double-digit touchdowns. I'm going to guess around 16 touchdowns. I think he's going to have a great year. The Falcons, I don't think they're going to make the playoffs.
They're making the playoffs. They're taking.
I don't know if they're going to make.
They're taking NFC South.
No, they're not taking the NFC.
Hey, if the Falcons make the playoffs, the Browns are going to make the playoffs. Okay.
That'll never happen.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying. The Falcons are going to make the playoffs. Yeah. What's the fourth player?
It was a Super Bowl prediction.
Well, that's not a player.
Yeah.
We said 4 names.
Fourth name. Hey, it's a name.
Yeah, probably.
Who's the team?
My Super Bowl prediction, I think it is going to be the Colts and the Seahawks, with the Colts winning their first Super Bowl championship in a couple years. So Andrew Luck's going to take them all the way, going to win an MVP, and is going to win Super Bowl as well.
Okay, well, I have to agree with you on MVP. I have Andrew Luck. He's got Frank Gore now. He's got a consistent running game. He's still got T.Y.
You can't say consistent running game in Frank Gore.
He's been nothing but consistent in the 49ers.
Consistently average. Can we put it there?
He's had 1,000-yard seasons in each of the last 4 seasons.
He's no household name like DeMarco Murray or.
He's not, but he's pretty good.
Consistently average.
Okay. I'll disagree with you on that one. Andre Johnson, they're bringing him in. T.Y. Hilton, they have a stacked offense. So Andrew Luck, as you said, he's going to keep throwing touchdowns. He led the league last year.
Definitely.
I wouldn't doubt that he does it again this year. So no really debate there. We both think Andrew Luck. Defensive Player of the Year, I was also tempted to go J.J. Watt, but I wanted to differentiate a little bit. I'm going to say Luke Kuechly on the Carolina Panthers. Their defense has been top 10 each of the last 3 years, but somehow people still underrate it. So I don't know if people know how good Luke Kuechly is. He's probably one of the best.
People don't.
No, they don't.
That's the thing. I mean, unfortunately, like you said, I honestly think he has a very good shot, but he's not a household name. He plays for Carolina, which isn't a huge football town. But
yeah, well, Well, he's led the league in tackles each of the last 2 years.
Yep.
He's probably the best cover linebacker. He's working on his rushing this year, so his sacks will go up. Like you said, he might not win it. He might deserve it. He might not win it just because of he's on the Panthers, who aren't a Super Bowl contender. Well, so he might not have that much hype, but I still think he's going to be in the mix for that. What was it? A breakout player?
Breakout player.
Most people probably haven't even heard of this guy, but I'm going with John Brown on the Arizona Cardinals.
Yeah, definitely.
Because Larry Fitzgerald, he's still good. He's on his last legs, kind of. He's probably gonna take a back seat. Still got Michael Floyd out of Notre Dame, but John Brown. I mean, their offense is going to be pretty good. If Carson Palmer stays healthy, that ACL's got to stay intact, and if it does, I think Cardinals are a sleeper Super Bowl team, and I think John Brown will be a breakout player. That's just me. I don't know about double-digit touchdowns, but I think, that's my bold prediction of the year.
On tape.
I agree there. I mean, Brown, I mean, no, that's not a household name.
Oh,
that's
no.
definitely a good candidate for breakout player of the year. You know, Julio, like I said, is getting to be a household name. I'm expecting his breakout season, not as in the fact of like nobody knows who he is, to be people knowing who he is. I'm saying not in the MVP
really
race to becoming MVP. What's
on
up?
Julio Jones, I totally agree with what you're saying. And another
Thank you.
Another breakout player that is, like you said, like a huge name, I think, is Matt Ryan. He's been kind of quiet the last couple of years. We were talking about him earlier. Of course, he's a huge quarterback in the league, but he just hasn't been that hot quarterback star exactly that we know he is. So I think this season, Matt Ryan to Julio Jones is going to be crazy. Falcons are definitely taking the NFC South. But back to what you were saying about that. I didn't want to cut you off.
Okay, I don't know. I kind of have problems with that, but I'm not going to go into that right now. And then Super Bowl prediction, I have Patriots. I think they're going to come back from all this stuff, and I think they're just going to overcome everything. And I think the Cardinals are going to make the Super Bowl. If Carson Palmer stays healthy, Andre Ellington, out of Clemson, if he stays healthy, it's a bold prediction, but I think Cardinals, they have a legitimate shot of going to the playoffs.
Yeah, that is an extremely bold prediction. I don't know what's more bold, the Cardinals making the Super Bowls or the Browns having a winning record. I'm going to say the Browns or the Cardinals winning the Super Bowl is a more bold prediction. I think the Browns are going to have a winning record before the Cardinals make the playoffs. I think Carson Palmer
make the playoffs or make the Super Bowl?
Or make the Super Bowl.
Okay, I was about to say.
I think the Cardinals got lucky last year. I don't think Carson Palmer is nearly as good as how he brought the team basically from almost nothing to a playoff caliber team. I don't think the Cardinals are going to make the playoffs this year. I think the Rams are going to be a team to be afraid of. That defense is stacked. That defense is loaded, and that's a huge team to look for. And I just don't see the Cardinals going on. I'm sorry.
Okay.
All right, guys, wrapping it up. Give us the NFL preview this week. Give me 3 games. If you could only watch 3 games this week, what games are you tuning into in the league this week?
Okay, I'm going to start with Thursday night, even though I'm going to be in a chem lab from 6:30 to 9:20, which sucks. Steelers and Patriots, I'm going to try to catch the second half of that. Obviously, Big Ben versus Tom Brady and all their looming off-season stuff. I think that'll be a really good game. I think Cowboys and Giants, that's always a good game. Last time they played, Odell had that wonderful catch.
I do that on the intramural flag football.
Oh yeah, just like
it's not that hard. It really isn't.
And then I'm gonna go a little biased here. I'm gonna be watching Panthers and Jags because Panthers are my team. It's not an exciting game for most people, but for me, I want to see how Cam Newton, how he's healthy this year, more healthy than the last 2 or 3 years. How they can maybe fill the void that Kelvin Benjamin left, as we discussed before. So those are my 3 games that I'm gonna be watching.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I really don't have a certain game that I really want to watch. I'm not going to watch Thursdays, the Patriots against Steelers. I'm going to try to make a huge conscious effort to not watch that, just because, with the whole publicity stunt, everybody's going to be watching that game to see how Tom Brady's doing. And I swear to God, if they show Tom Brady every 5 seconds, I'm going to lose my mind. If he's playing or if he's not. What are you saying?
You're being a hipster right now.
Going against the grain.
I'm being a hipster.
The NFL's going to miss your view, though.
Exactly. The one out of the billion views that they're about to get, they're going to really miss mine. But I'm just sick and tired of the story. I swear to God, if I hear Deflategate one more time, I'm gonna punch myself in the face. I just think this whole, this week 1, there isn't really one game that I'm gonna look forward to other than the Browns and the Jets, because that's a little biased, and I want to see what the Browns are gonna do. But the Patriots and the Steelers, I'm not gonna watch. So I guess that will count for all 3 of my teams on what games not to watch. So.
All right, guys, that's all we got for this week. Thank you so much for tuning into Tigervision, watching the Extra Point. Have a great weekend, and of course, go Tigers.